Welcome to the ExExpense Snapshot video series. Today's video is ExExpense Overview. At the conclusion of this video, you will have a good understanding of how the system works and the benefits of its use. ExExpense is designed for divorced couples to manage the shared expenses typically associated with the children after a divorce. Instead of keeping a shoebox of receipts and sending a spreadsheet back and forth, ExExpense stores all the documentation online in the cloud. It automatically does the calculation of the sharing amounts based on the agreed upon percentages and completely eliminates any need to communicate with your ex outside the automatic system emails. We are logged in as Christina Smith in this demonstration. When Christina first logs in, she'll be presented with a list of all the expenses that have been entered for the current year. She has the ability with these filters to look at prior years or to filter even further by choosing other expenses that have been previously set up. But let's just add an expense right now. Click the Record Expense button. We've built this form to make it very fast and easy to enter data. We have date pickers to allow you to pick the date very quickly. The expense date is when the bill was incurred. The payment date was when the bill was paid. You're allowed to choose an expense type. We're going to choose medical expenses for Cindy. And you can quickly see the sharing percentages in case you forgot. Put in the amount, okay, and then indicate who it was paid by. Normally it's going to be paid by the person who's entering the data, but you can also choose to enter the data for the other person. And that way, when you do that, they'll be able to edit the records, so be careful. You can only edit your own records unless you say and choose that it's the other person. Now you can put in a description. We'll put in annual checkup for Cindy. We can have it invoice only, which means that it won't be paid right now, but we're going to pay it really quickly so it can help understand the future payments that are going to happen. And when you start typing vendors, you simply type a first letter and it'll list out all the previous entries that you've put in before, so you can quickly choose which one already existed. You can enter some comments. Let's put some comments. She's required a physical for her sporting events. When you choose a file, and you click on the Choose File button, it will open your file, Windows Explorer, or the file folder system on your computer, and you can choose a file from your desktop. If you click the Choose File button from a mobile device, a tablet, or a smartphone, it will ask you if you want to take a picture. This is great because if you're in the doctor's office and you pay the bill right there, you can take that picture right then and there, upload it to the system, and before you even leave the doctor's office, you've already recorded that expense. So I'm going to choose this receipt. I'm going to attach it. Now I'm ready to go. All I need to do now is save or save and send. If I save and send, it's going to ask me if I want to include some comments. And I can continue, and it'll save it and return me back to the list of expenses that I was before and update the totals. If you look at the upper right hand corner, the totals have been updated to reflect the new payment. And we make it easy for you to see at any point in time who owes who what. And right now, Christina is owed $470.12 based on the 2016, but the filtered amounts, all expenses 2016. We can also take a look at cumulative, which takes into consideration all the expenses and all the sharing amounts from the beginning of time. Notice we also have a challenge button over here. These are items that haven't been agreed to by both parties and have simply been challenged and put aside and not factored in. If we look at 2015, we'll notice that the item in red is indicated as challenged. This is an expense that was paid for by Christina, but yet challenged by Jerry. If we open the record up, we can see since this was paid for by Christina, Christina has an edit button, whereas Jerry does not have an edit button. He would have a challenge button. Since this information was entered by Christina, Christina can edit this document, as you can see, but Jerry does not have an edit button. He only has a challenge button. If we open up one of Jerry's expenses, you can see that this one's been approved by Christina already, so there is no challenge and there is no edit button. At the top of this expenses view, you'll notice there's an export button and an email button. The export button takes whatever you're looking at the screen, however you have it filtered. Here we have 2016 all expense types, and we click the export button. It's going to take everything you see on the screen and export it to a spreadsheet an Excel spreadsheet and email that to you. So you'll have that spreadsheet and you can do whatever you want. An email is actually going to take whatever you see on the screen and create a fancy email and just make it all text and email that to your ex. If we take a look at reports, reports is showing a summary by category, by year, all the expenses. Reimbursements. Many of the couples that use this keep track of the running totals of expenses and share the bills so that if the bills get out of whack on one side, the other person pays for a while until they get kind of evened out and back and forth. Others actually write reimbursements to offset it if one parent is paying most of the bills. Here we can record a reimbursement very simply, clicking again on the date pickers, enter the amount. We can enter our check number, and we can allocate it to a specific category, or we can have it considered unallocated, allocated to expenses for a year, allocated to a month, indicate who paid for it. And again, choose the file system or take a picture if we're using a smartphone of the canceled check, the wire transfer, the bank statement, whatever it is to support the proof of the payment. When we save that document, it'll actually update the total amounts due to each other. Let's take a look at the expense types. Typical medical expenses is a very common thing that divorced couples have to share. Often the sharing percentage is based on the proportional income percentages. And in New Jersey, there's a $250 first dollar limit that has to be paid by the custodial parent before the percentage kicks in. This isn't true in every situation, and sometimes the first dollar limits can be anything. And it's all based on the agreements. So we have college expense sharing, it's $30.70 for Johnny, but $45.55 for Cindy. Other shared expenses are $50.50. Child care is $50.50. Home repair is $30.70. And Johnny's vehicle expenses are $20.80. And these have all been pre-agreed to. So they generally aren't changed once they're originally set up. The file cabinet's a neat little feature in the fact that it stores documents that you want to share and refer to later and keep track of, and put in one place that maybe you don't have a paper filing system that you can readily get your hands on at home. We see here that we've got report cards of the kids. If one party is required to maintain life insurance on the other, maybe they upload the face sheets here to prove that they continue to have that life insurance in force. The nice thing about the add files, besides the fact that it's, again, very easy to add, you can click into the date pickers, choose who it's by, give it a description, choose a category. Again, any category that you've previously entered will show up in the drop-down list. Choose a file very simply from your file. You can choose multiple files. It'll show up here. The nice thing about it is you can say, oh gee, I want to send something to somebody. I want to forward this off because they need this information for maybe some sporting event. I can actually email the selected files. It'll ask me who I should email it to. And say, please review the documents. And I will send this off, and those 3 files have now been emailed to someone else. In this video snapshot, we have provided an overview of the ExExpense system.